This is a continuation of my Supply Chain Pro story from a previous video on the channel titled Temp to Leader in 10 Weeks on the Job. See link in the description of this video for more information prior to this point in my career. This video will highlight some of my growth and the steps that I took to get promoted to supervisor in 1 year after starting this new job as a temporary employee. After my 10th week as a temporary employee, I was hired into the company as a union team lead for my production department. I had a good reputation with my supervisor, and I was beginning to learn more about leadership and how the facility I reported to each day functioned. It was through my supervisor that I had exposure to many different learning opportunities, from employee management to production reporting to inventory reconciliation to basic maintenance, and finally a little bit of corporate politics. I was not only okay with, but grateful for the exposure to my experienced supervisor's knowledge, and I would soak up every opportunity that I could to learn something new about the job. As my knowledge grew, so did my performance and my confidence. As the months went by, I would be assigned to small projects that I would coordinate with other departments, such as a larger production department, or the inventory department, or the receiving department, and I would apply my newly learned knowledge from my home department into these peripheral projects. Normally, I would learn something new from the other department employees that I could then use as a tool in my tool belt for the future in my home department. Over the course of time, my knowledge compounded by stacking on itself, and I started to get pretty good at having a logical, operational, and defensible reason why for every action that I took. At some point, I realized that I wanted to take the best strengths from each employee that I worked with and put them all together so that my performance would be the best part of all the different people that I've worked with. I took the strategic strength from the shipping supervisor, I took the creative strength from my home department production supervisor, and I took the logical strength from my receiving department supervisor and slowly began to form my own leadership style and operational perspective based on the examples of the leaders around me. It was at this time that my supervisor's boss, the facility manager, started listening to the news about me. While news or gossip usually are not good things at an employer, my reputation was known for professionally getting along with everyone I was assigned to work with and always yielding positive results on my assignments and projects. My manager undoubtedly heard the reports and saw the data and took note behind the scenes. The key here that I would like to highlight is that I continued my high-quality performance and continued to apply myself in this team lead role. I would do my best on whatever task I was given, and I was driven by results. One funny story that described my leadership during this time was that I would oftentimes have to chase away the union steward who would stop by my department and try to socialize with the young and pretty girls in my department while they were on the clock. I would professionally ask the union steward if he needed anything, and when the answer was no, I would professionally ask him to allow my team members to focus on their work instead of conversation. One of the things that I got really good at in this time was learning to play my variation of corporate politics. My reputation was always to be on task and doing what is best for the company. Everything that I did was for the benefit of the company, and whenever I found an area of disagreement with anyone, I would always lean in respectfully to that mindset. I became really good at disagreeing respectfully with people that were outside of the company's expectations and speaking to them in a non-threatening manner. As I reflect upon this skill that I learned, it really comes down to my personality, where I always strive to be polite, even when someone may not deserve it. I can present something that is critical of someone in a way that still remains polite in the choice of my words, my tone, and the approach that I use. Being a college graduate, I did have a decent vocabulary to tap into, and the key was having a regard or respect for all people that I interact with, even when they were in the wrong. Things were coming together nicely for me. I continued to be a top performer. I was learning how to navigate corporate politics, and the one downside was that I was still relatively young and relatively inexperienced in the grand scheme of things at the facility. I remember very clearly being frustrated one day with my income. I felt that my income was not where I wanted it to be nearly 1 year after graduating college. I was making $14 an hour at this point, and as I began calculating my life expenses and future goals, I wanted more. In this job, I was able to learn a lot. However, it was still relatively physical as a team lead that always did my best in every situation. I'm going to be honest that the high performance did come at a cost of fatigue on my body and on my mind. One day, there was a job posting for an office clerical vacancy that was paying the same hourly rate as my team lead position. I considered that I had been a team lead for approximately 10 months, and I saw other team leads that had been there much longer potentially competing with me for supervisor positions, and I thought that the difference in the daily work tasks as an office clerk compared to working on the warehouse floor every day would be beneficial. If I were to take that office position, I would be paid the same while having less physical wear and tear on my body. Being honest, I wasn't feeling all that particularly valued by the company in my team lead role. My supervisor was very respectful and he was good to me. However, I felt that I was still behind many of the other team leads at my level when it comes to getting a promotion to the next level. I wanted a fresh start and applied to and then aced my interview for the clerical position. I was clear and obvious above the other candidates in my general office capabilities due to my 4-year college education. About 1 week went by, and my supervisor's manager shows up in my production department one day and wants to talk with me. We go for a one-on-one walk through the facility. During this time, he began to explain how he had a supervisor position that would be opening up in the next month, and he asked me if I were interested in getting promoted to fill that supervisor vacancy. I had a hard time containing my smile in this conversation, as I had realized that I had successfully negotiated a promotion without even actively negotiating with my words. It was due to the fact that I applied to that office clerical job and would have exited the operation, and my operations manager would rather promote me to supervisor than lose me as a contributing member on his team. This promotion came with a significant increase in my rate of pay to $18.50 an hour, which was a lot of money for a young man who recently graduated from college in 2014. Annual pay increases came through like 2 months later, and I was making $19.38 an hour after being with the employer for only 14 months. My wage had more than doubled from $9.50 an hour as a temporary employee in July of 2013 to this $19.38 as a junior supervisor in September of 2014. Hopefully you can see some of the principles that allowed me to go from temp to supervisor in 1 year. While the journey wasn't always easy and it was filled with highs and lows, at the end, it was all worth it. Becoming a supervisor, I was on the path to fulfilling some of my life goals and dreams due to the increased income from my career. I hope you found encouragement in my story, and I hope that you continue to do your best at your employer, sticking to your principles, the honesty, hard work, and respect. I want you to know that although the world may seem unfair at times, being resilient and persevering in your principles does pay off in the end. If you found encouragement from my Supply Chain Pro's humble beginnings, or if you have your own unique promotion experience, please explain it in the comments down below. If you found value in the content of this video, like and subscribe to the channel. This is your Supply Chain Pro, out.